Hi everyone, this run is going to feature the return of Team ABC Airlines in Act 3 Chapter 6.1 Lithuania Plus. This team consists of Aphmau, Bartz and Cid Raines, and of course it's also going to be a no boss turn run. So at the start of the fight, what I did was to reset until Cid Raines goes first, and that is to allow him to use his Cavalry Rush to pull Bartz so that Bartz can get a turn before Aphmau at the start of the fight. This allows me to use both the Cait Sith call and go into BT plus with Bartz before Aphmau can use her LD and turn manipulate Cid Raines. Here Aphmau gets her first turn, and after setting up her LD call debuffs, I then have her use her LD targeting Cid Raines, and this allows Aphmau and Cid Raines to start alternating their turns. Here finally I use Cid Raines LD, and that is to set up the turn order perfectly so that Bartz will go first, followed by Aphmau. You want Bartz to get one final turn here so that you can ramp up his BT aura to 3 stacks. Now obviously speaking, if you have Garnet, it's probably better to use Garnet over Bartz in this setup, but I wanted to stay true to Team ABC, so it wouldn't really be Team ABC if you take Bartz out from the team composition. There is one small benefit of using Bartz over Garnet. You typically will not want this party member to take any other turn beyond this, so that the Cait Sith LD call aura will remain for the rest of the fight. Bartz's elemental enchant and imperil is based on a buff on himself, so this also allows you to have his elemental enchant and imperil for the entire fight. On the other hand, if you're using Garnet, her party enchant is based on a buff that's applied on the other party members, so eventually both Aphmau and Cid Raines will run out of her elemental enchant, and you will be forced to give Garnet another turn if you want to reapply the enchant, which isn't really ideal. So that is just one small benefit, but obviously Garnet will still be probably better just because of the sheer damage her overhead attack brings to the table. Anyway, back to the fight. I've also hit 79% and the Lithuania orb has appeared. The rest of the fight is really just alternating turns between Aphmau and Cid Raines. To maintain the Lithuania orb, you always want to use Aphmau's HP attack when her puppets are up, because that is considered a converted HP attack and will uptick the Lithuania orb. There is a small window where you are forced to use Aphmau's LD to reapply her LD buff on Cid Raines. During that time, you can also use Cid Raines' converted HP attack that you get from using his LD. So once using his LD, his HP attack gets converted to HP attack, I think Heavenly Fist, and that will also uptick the orb. You want to reserve that for when you need to use Aphmau LD and buy some additional turns so that Aphmau can get her puppets back into play. So this is one good example here. The orb count is pretty low and Aphmau is currently out of puppets, so this is where I use HP attack Heavenly Fist. It does relatively less damage than Cid Raines' other skills, so normally I wouldn't use this, but in this fight it's ideal to uptick the orb using that attack. So right here, since the orb is refreshed, I have this small window to use Aphmau's LD to get her puppets back and also reapply Tactical Switch on Cid Raines. Every time after Aphmau uses her LD, her turn will be right after Bartz, and this is not ideal, so this is the time when you want to use Cid Raines' LD to pull Aphmau's turn back. So you want to try to time Cid Raines LD to be used right after Aphmau uses her LD. That is really the best time to use that. And during Aphmau's turn, you always want to target the boss that is launchable, just so that you can get some extra launch damage in. This is also the reason why I try to avoid using Cavalry Rush, which is Cid Raines S2. Cavalry Rush is a single target attack and will not cause the other target to be launchable. Using Cid Raines S1 LD or EX will always make the off-target launchable, which at least helps you to create a launch during Aphmau's turn. So same thing here, I'm out of puppets with Aphmau and I just use her additional ability, and I will need to use her LD next turn, so this is where I use HP attack Heavenly Fist with Cid Raines to refresh the orb and allow me to use Aphmau's LD during her turn. So I guess a little bit about alternative setup while the Aphmau and Cid Raines alternate turns is going on. If you don't have Cait Sith LD call, another good option is to set Iroha LD call on Bartz. If you don't have Kurasame or the Keiss LD call, just use call abilities that provide either defense down debuffs or HP damage up effects. Those should be sufficient as well. Okay, so at this point Aphmau is out of her LD and out of her puppets as well, so this is where I bring in the Cid Raines friend support. The idea is here I will be popping summon and I will be finishing off the boss inside summon mode. With double Cid Raines it's pretty simple, you just have the friend support Cid Raines use LD and target your Cid Raines, and then you have your Cid Raines use Cavalry Rush targeting the other Cid Raines. So this way you will be alternating turns between both Cid Raines and will still deny Bartz from getting a turn. And this will also allow you to have Cid Raines launch every turn inside summon mode, which is really much more than enough to finish off the bosses in the fight. So that's it for this run. As always, I hope the video has been helpful, and if you did enjoy the content, please leave a like, comment or subscribe. It really helps a lot. Till then, I'll see you guys in the next Lufenia fight. Bye!